Hey friend, I want to talk about the worst mistake I think we can make in dating. And it's a mistake that I've found can leave you as the victim in a relationship. And not victim in an abusive sense or anything like that, but a victim of your own passiveness, a victim of your own indecisiveness, a victim of your own rationalization. And this comes from my own experience. And of course, also years and years and years of applying mindfulness to love and trying to break down the actions we take or don't take. That is trying to get to the true why behind things like putting up with mixed signals, hoping someone will change, sticking it out in a one-sided relationship, and so on and so forth. And there are, of course, many reasons why we do things like that, a lot of which come from some form of conditioning. A great thing for you and your therapist to unpack. But broader than that, there is one why that I've come back to time and time again that I think really underpins a lot of the negative, one-sided things we put up with in dating that, if realized why we do them, we'd be quick to stop. And it's as follows. In the pursuit of love, of connection, we confuse betrayal for sacrifice. Betrayal for sacrifice, self-betrayal for sacrifice. These are the two words I'm going to circle with this: betrayal and sacrifice. We end up in one-sided relationships. We end up in relationships that don't serve either of us. We date the wrong people. We throw away our standards because we think we're being noble. We think we're compromising. We think we're sacrificing certain needs for the good of the relationship. But in reality, we're likely just betraying ourselves. We confuse the word betrayal for sacrifice. And I think this tendency comes from our understanding that love requires sacrifice. And of course it does, right? I'm not going to challenge that statement. Of course, a relationship requires sacrifice. It requires practical sacrifice, right? Making time for your partner instead of yourself, shuffling around priorities to accommodate another soul in your life. Yes, sacrifice and reprioritization is so important in a relationship, but we've gotten it twisted in how far we allow that sacrifice to go, to the point where we end up betraying ourselves. We betray ourselves when we turn off our needs, the things we learned in our past relationships, our real self, in order to be loved, to keep loved, to earn love. But we dress it up as, oh no, we're just sacrificing for the good of the relationship, but that couldn't be further from sacrifice. So I want to talk about self-betrayal and what it really looks like so we can realize the difference between self-betrayal and sacrifice. I think the biggest difference between sacrifice and self-betrayal is the why behind it. We make sacrifices, practical, temporary sacrifices, because we know our partner will reciprocate. That is the healthy foundation of sacrifice in a relationship. You both make sacrifices in order to make each other's lives easier, in order to make your connection stronger, in order to communicate as your needs evolve. But betrayal does not include that element of reciprocity. We betray ourselves when we act or we don't act in order to win someone, in order to earn their love, in order to win their acceptance, right? Or on the flip side, we do it out of fear of losing them, fear of losing what we already have. We betray ourselves when we think that we have to win love, when we have to bend over backwards to keep it. We betray ourselves when we let go of our needs and true self in order to be loved. That is the essence of betraying yourself. Harsh word though, right? Betray, to betray. According to the dictionary, to betray is to be unfaithful to yourself. And in instances where you're acting out of a desire to win love or to earn love or to keep love, you are no longer being faithful to yourself. How could you be? Because that's faithful in the sense of respecting what you actually need and want. That's respecting what you deserve. It's respecting what you learned in your past relationship. It's respecting your standards and your boundaries. When you betray those things, that is when you ignore them, when you bury them, when you silence them, you are not respecting your past and what you really need. That is not being faithful to the real you. And that is betrayal. It's not sacrifice as we dress it up. And this could take many forms practically. I think the simplest, the one that I talk about most, is you betray yourself when you don't speak up. That is not sacrifice for the good of the relationship. Biting your tongue, not speaking honestly and openly, not voicing your concerns or communicating something that is important to you. That is not sacrifice. It is self-betrayal. You don't voice your needs, and in effect, you give into an image of yourself that is not real, that is not honest. But you do that thinking it will help you secure love, keep love, earn love. And I think by that definition, it is self-betrayal. And further, maybe in that process, you also betray yourself by giving, and never receiving. You give love in hopes of receiving it, but that day never really comes, or it comes very inconsistently, which then further cements you in a cycle of giving without receiving. You give, you act, you acquiesce to their love languages, what they want, the timeline they want, as a means of showing your love in the hopes that it will be reciprocated. I'll help them. I'll show them that I'm worthy. But again, because you're not voicing your needs, that is not real. It is not faithful to the real you. It is self-betrayal. You drain yourself. You care more for them than you do about yourself, and that moves you further and further from being faithful to you. But we dress this up as sacrifice. I don't want to seem needy. I don't like conflict. They'll change, we'll change, I'll change. I'm doing this for us. That's a big statement I hear a lot. I'm doing this for us. That is such a slippery slope that I think will inevitably lead you further and further away from yourself. And that is self-betrayal. And of course, if you're nodding your head right now, it doesn't make you a bad person at all. Something in your upbringing, in your adolescence, has led you to this belief, to this conditioning. Maybe a past relationship, maybe multiple past relationships have reinforced the idea that to receive love, you first have to give. You have to give more than them. You have to empty your cup. Something in your past taught you that you have to say yes in order to be worthy of being loved. You can't say no. You have to prioritize them first and wholly in order to receive love. Honesty is not the way. Something taught you that. And you, we, us, we're in no way bad people for being shaped in this way. But I think, and the reason I wanted to do this, is to arm you with a question to ask yourself that can help you snap out of it. And the question is simple. Am I sacrificing or am I betraying myself? Am I sacrificing or am I betraying myself? Ask yourself that when you're unsure of the path you're on. Ask yourself that when a relationship feels one-sided, when you're second-guessing your actions, when your intuition is begging you to listen. Am I sacrificing or am I betraying yourself? Sacrifice is great. It's a requirement. It shows you care. It shows you're willing to act. Sacrifice, you sacrifice time. You make time for them. You listen to them when you'd rather watch your shows. You do the things they want to do. You sacrifice certain elements of independence. You sacrifice self-centeredness for a sense of joint responsibility. So important. But sacrifice is focused on lots of practical actions, whereas self-betrayal is more in the land of your inner life. It's where you ignore your needs, your inner voice, your ability to say no, all in the effort to earn, to keep, or to elevate existing love. It's where you say you're okay, even when you're not. It's where you agree to certain boundaries that aren't true to you. It's where you allow certain habits to continue that distance yourself from what you really want. Right? It's where you acquiesce to their every desire. It's where you forget the lessons you learned in the past. It's where you're afraid of saying no. That is self-betrayal. And I think when I say it like this, it obviously sounds quite bad and like the opposite of what you want and deserve. But when you're amidst these things, you're likely thinking short term, right? You're saying, oh, it's okay. I'll just do this to move things forward. We're busy. We're stressed. I don't want to add to stress. But small actions add up, and before you realize it, you've established an expectation not only with them, but with yourself, that you're okay with this, that you're okay with sacrificing, betraying yourself in order to earn love. You've convinced yourself that you're okay with earning acceptance by betraying yourself in order to be the good guy or the good girlfriend. So that's the thought here. In talking with so many of you and observing dating for the past decade, I found that when it comes to why we put up with things that if we're able to take a step back and observe, we'd quickly realize they're not aligned with what we deserve. When it comes to why, it comes back a lot of the time to our human inclination to confuse sacrifice with betrayal. So I say, focus your energy here. Ask yourself, am I sacrificing or am I betraying? Are your actions or lack thereof, are the words you say or the words you keep quiet, what is the why behind them? Is it to earn? Is it to keep? Is it to win? Is your silence because you fear losing someone? Is your acquiescence because of fear of not being worthy of love if you were to be honest? If that's the case, it's a tough potential reality to face, of course, but you have to ask yourself, why would you want to be with someone who wouldn't love the real you? Why would you want to be with someone who you quote, won by being someone you're not? I have a whole chapter in my book that's bold of you on how we think being the easy, chill partner makes us easy to love. And practically that might be true, but it's really actually on the inner level the opposite. Being chill, biting your tongue, not voicing your needs, it makes a fake version of yourself easier to love, but it makes the real version of you harder to love. And why would you want to make the real version of you harder to love? If someone isn't willing to love the real version of you, It's a tough reality to face, but why would you want to continue in that relationship where there is someone out there who would absolutely love the real version, the real you? That is the question you need to ask yourself, and the reality you might need to face. And it can only set you free. And you deserve to be free. That's free from any conditioning that says you need to win someone's affection. Free from any conditioning that says you need to empty your cup completely before getting a drop from someone else. Free yourself from that, no matter how you got here, by asking yourself, am I sacrificing or am I betraying myself? And see what honesty you can uncover.